you guys can tell the difference in my room, this is like the wall that I mostly share in my videos because I only have 4 walls and the rest of them are ugly. But I came back from South Korea and I bought some K-pop albums, which I should have unboxings of them up on my shorts. I opened my 𝐼 albums first, and the photocard that I got was Blonde Wonyeon, and I knew ever since then something good was going to happen to me. I came back to Australia on the 30th, and the fact that the next day was New Year's Eve and then now it's like 2024, I don't know why, it shocks me so much. The year passed by so quickly, and the fact that I honestly just can't comprehend it. But talking about my reading goals this year, they're honestly very simple, but they are something that I do want to stick to. My first goal, it may sound a bit funny, but I want to read books that I really like. Last year I felt like I read some really good books, and then I read books that were mediocre, and I could tell I read books that I didn't exactly like, but I still pushed myself to read it. So this year I want to focus on finding those 5-star books, and my plan to achieve that goal is to basically DNF more books. I actually like DNFing books, and I'm hoping that this year I will DNF more books. Like, I know it sounds like a bad thing, but I think after years of forcing myself to read books, now feeling free of like the guilt of not finishing a book will hopefully allow me to read some more good books. The problem that I have as well is that I have a lot of loyalty towards books that have been on my TBR for a really long time. For example, I would have books that were in my TBR 5 years ago, and then recently I read some of them and I realized that I did not like them because obviously my taste in reading has changed. So I don't want to hold on to that loyalty. If I read a book and I don't like it, it's okay to like stop reading the series or like give up on the book. This year I set my reading goals to 10 books, which normally I set it to 100, but I think for this year I don't want any pressure in the amount of books that I'm reading. Whatever books I do end up reading, that's good enough for me. The thing is, I feel like reading is obviously a hobby for me. It's something that I do to relax, but I do think that over the past years I've gotten pretty stressed over reading, and I think most of it's because I would borrow books from the library where there's obviously a time limit, and I wouldn't have access to all the books that I wanted to read, which means that the books that I wanted to read I had to read really quickly. And it used to be this whole thing of borrowing a bunch of books, like a stack, like 15 books at once, and not having enough time to finish them. So now that I have my Kindle, I obviously have more time and space to read other books. I also have access to more books than I would have if I borrowed from the library. And honestly, like last year, my first year of reading on my Kindle, I did feel less stress and less pressured to read. So that's why this year I want to focus on just taking my time reading books that I enjoy and just like having fun. I feel like recently my love of books have not been as strong as it was in the past, which I feel like is because I have been forcing myself to read books that I don't really enjoy. So that's why my goal this year is to hopefully find books that I will love and to just slow down my readings so that I have fun with it. Hi, editing me here. I feel like after watching these clips, I came to the realization that I have really bad reading habits, and that is why this year is the year that I want to change them. I feel like the issue is that I was very much consumed by the media where there's this whole idea of buying a bunch of books, reading a lot of books, and reaching certain goals. And in the past, when I was a young child, I watched a lot of booktubers and see as they buy a lot of books and read a lot of books, and I've always wanted to meet that kind of standard as well. And because of that, I felt like I kind of built an unhealthy relationship with books. Like, I love reading, but at the same time there was a lot of pressure to meet a certain standard, even though I didn't need to. Like, nobody was looking at me and was like, you should read a certain amount of books, you know. It was just all in my head basically. And I know like all these goals sound very simple and very obvious, but I think it's just funny that now I'm nearly 20, right? Now I'm coming to this realization of how my relationship with reading should really be. Here I did a little video of what I read in the first week of the new year, and I think I privated that video because I didn't end up liking it, but I'm doing the same thing this year. So as of right now, I'm currently reading 2 books. I'm reading The Raven King, and I absolutely love this series, this world. There's something about it that just hooks you in. Either it's the whimsical writing or the characters. I love the characters, just like how different they are, but like how well they form together. Just something about the subtlety of their relationships and the whole fact that it's like a found family and the way that they love each other in like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's so interesting the fact that they're all friends but they love each other in a special way. Don't really know how to explain it, but that's just how I feel. To be honest, I felt like certain events happen in the earlier book but turns out they happen in the end of the book and I'm like, oh, okay. Took a long time to develop. I'm also reading The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. I feel like in a way I'm breaking my first goal because I started this book while I was overseas and I was kind of like, you know what, this is not the vibe of what I want to read when I'm overseas because I feel like that book is quite heavy in a way. Obviously it's like the history of the Hunger Games, we learn about Snow and his background story, but Snow, his mind, he's literally so pretentious and I read a little bit of it and then I was like, I feel like I can't read it physically, so I ended up finding the audiobook on Spotify, which I'm going to read. So hopefully that helps me read the book a little bit more because I do want to know what happens because a lot of people say that the book and the movie is quite different because in the book we get to know more about Snow's mind and kind of just like hear how crazy he is. So I'm going to be doing my nails and that's probably going to take me 2 hours, and in that 2 hours I'm going to be listening to the audiobook. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I'm going to be surprised if you don't know what this book is about, but it is a prequel to The Hunger Games and it focuses on Coriolanus Snow and how his character becomes who he is during Katniss' era of The Hunger Games.
Life, health, liberty, or possession. The lore which nature brings. Our meddling intellect misshapes the beauteous forms I knew. I thought of the promise of virtues which he had displayed.
I'm 5 hours into The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes and I have 3 hours and 26 minutes left for this part because there are 2 parts of the audiobooks and I'm up to chapter 11, so I feel like I still have a long way to go, but basically I am reading this audiobook in like 1.8 speed because I know that it's supposed to be slow because they need to enunciate all the words and like make sure that it's clear, but something about audiobooks really annoy me because of how slow they are, which is why I don't listen to audiobooks that much. The story itself, I feel like the plot is very slow because we haven't entered like the Hunger Games phase, we are just talking about like the events that lead up to it and basically all the terrifying things that happen to the mentors. It's a little bit crazy, I'm gonna lie. Like there are so many things going on and it's honestly so crazy to read. It's only been a day and my nails have already popped off, which is why I had to redo them. I'm trying to tell myself that's because I'm doing a new technique, but honestly I think I just suck at doing gel lights. But they're green, so they match the cover of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Anyways, I'm 7 hours into the book and I feel like the audiobook has made it a lot easier to read the book because usually when I do stuff I listen to Stephanie Sue or I listen to music, but now I just replace that with listening to the audiobook and I feel like 7 hours, like that is really fast. I have probably 10 hours left of the whole book and I have I think an hour and something left of part 1 of the book. I have some thoughts about this book, but I'm not going to say it until the end because I want to formulate all my thoughts, and I feel like if I say stuff now and I change my mind later, I don't want that to happen, okay? So I'm going to wait until I finish the whole book and then I'm going to say what I think. I'll be honest though, I feel like the book is kind of boring. Like there's just a lot of, I wouldn't say background story, but there's a lot of things that are exciting but also not exciting. That's why I feel like if I read the actual book, I would probably get a little bit bored because it's just, I don't really know how to explain it. Like we're not getting into the action, but there's a lot of things that are happening like behind the scenes. I have been reading The Raven King, but not that much. But The Raven King, I honestly feel like I've been saying the same thing throughout the whole series of me reading the Raven Cycle, so I'm not going to really say that much about it. This is the last book in the series. This is where everything happens. The little scenes between the characters, especially Blue and Gansey, sometimes I wonder like how did they fall in love? Because I feel like it happened so quickly, or maybe I just didn't pick up on it, and I feel like that's the same thing with like Adam and Ronan. But anyways, I don't really care about that. I still just like love the relationship. I think I'm gonna savor my time with this book because I don't want to read it that quickly because there are just like so many things that I just love. I love this series so much. Okay, so I realized I've been talking about this book and how much I love this series without explaining what actually happens in this book, which probably doesn't make you want to read it. It basically centers around these 5 characters, Blue, Gansey, Adam, Ronan, and Noah, and they all have magical powers in some sort of way. It's set in a very whimsical world where there are psychics, a mysterious forest, ley lines, and they're in search of this dead king called the Glendower. So it has aspects of found family, just wonderful written characters, and it's set in the modern world with like magical supernatural elements. Anyways, if you guys haven't read this series before, I definitely recommend it. Okay, so today it is Friday and I haven't updated since Tuesday because I haven't read that much because I just haven't been bothered. I think the thing about listening to the audiobook is that at the beginning I was like, yeah, totally, I want to listen to it. And now I'm kind of like, I am so sick of the narrator's voice, which I feel so bad about, but there's something about it that's so monotonous that I don't want to listen to it. If the book was narrated by Stephanie Sue, or if she did like a recap of the whole book, I would probably enjoy that a lot more, but I did listen to a little bit more today because I was doing some house chores, and then I will probably listen to a little bit of it after this. But I've reached chapter 19 and I'm up to the second part of the audiobook. I think after I finish reading where I'm up to today, I'm gonna move to the ebook version because I cannot anymore with the audiobook. The issue is, like, I went outside on a little walk and I was listening to the audiobook and there was some things that I were missing because I wasn't entirely focused on the audiobook. Like, there were certain scenes that was said and then I basically didn't listen to what they were saying, and then I would come back and then I would be like, wait, what happened before? So I think reading the ebook would keep me more focused hopefully in the story, but I may like switch back and forth between the two mediums. I've also read a little bit more of the Raven King, so hopefully I finish it today. Reading it slowly though has been quite nice because, again, I've highlighted so many quotes and just like the development between the relationships of the characters, especially Ronan and Adam in this book, and Blue and Gatsby. Oh my god, the little scenes that they have together is so cute. Just like the little... I am also in my manhwa phase. I don't really know why. Like, I didn't really care about manhwas. Like, I read webtoons, but then all of a sudden last year I was like, I want to read a bunch of manhwas. So I'm currently reading, I think it's called Not So Wicked Stepmother or something like that. It's basically about this girl who gets reincarnated into like this world where she is the evil stepmother, but then she's literally obsessed with her stepdaughter because her stepdaughter is so cute, and then she basically changes like her whole personality. So many manhwas have the same plot, but I don't know, every single time I kind of eat it up, especially because in this book there's this duke. Obviously in the beginning I wouldn't say he's cold, but he doesn't really know how to socially interact with her and his daughter. And then over the course of the manhwa, because there is 3 seasons as of now, we see how his personality changes as he gets more comfortable, and it's just really cute to read. I haven't finished reading it yet. I think I'm up to season 3, but I just love manhwas and the art, and I want to find more fluffy romance books. I finished reading The Raven King, and honestly I have nothing to say about it because I feel like I'm just repeating myself. I have read a little bit more of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I don't think I'll finish it in this video because the way that I'm reading it is just very slow. And then I'm starting to think, should I DNF this book? Because so far I'm like, it's kind of boring. I kind of don't like it. And if I do read this book while feeling this way, I feel like I'm breaking one of my goals, but at the same time, oh, I already read 64%. And I was so determined to finish it, so I don't really know. Maybe I just end up watching the movie. It is the last day of the week and I have decided to either DNF or put The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes on a break. I should have known because I've been struggling to read it the whole entire week, and I even had to listen to an audiobook just to get past the book. But I've just been struggling to read it because I honestly find it really boring. I feel like there's a lot of interesting plot points, but there's nothing that really hooks me onto the story. Even the Hunger Games part was very uneventful because literally nothing happens. It is interesting to see the contrast between the Hunger Games that happened in Corleone's era and the Hunger Games in Katniss' era, and how it has improved due to technology and just like the changes that happen over time because of Corleone's suggestions in the games. But I just don't like Corleone's inner monologue, which absolutely makes sense because he's technically a villain in this book and we watch as he gets manipulated and he manipulates others. But I think my main issue is that because of the way that he's written, I can't empathize with other characters, which means that I can't connect with them. As we're seeing everything from Corleone's point of view, I just don't understand the charm of Lucy Gray and just her charisma, because everyone in the capital loves her. Even Corleone views her as someone that he loves and wants to protect, but to me she just seems like a flat character. Like, I know I'm supposed to love her, or at least people in the book loves her, but I don't really understand because she's barely in the book. Like, we only see little snippets of her, but we don't really delve into her characters besides her background story of how she was in District 12 and basically her love of singing. So in some sort of way, I don't understand her charm, but she's also a really important character within the books because she basically changed the whole trajectory of Coriolanus' life. And I keep thinking, what if she's playing Coriolanus and making him fall in love with her so that she wins the Hunger Games? I don't know that's an actual thing, that's just my personal theory. So I know that she's a very important figure, but I don't really, I guess, feel why she is. So in a way, I am happy that I stuck to my goal. If I don't like a book, I'm not gonna read it. I kind of wish that I DNF'd it earlier though. I feel like I knew when I was 15% into it that I was gonna have issues reading it, and then the whole entire time where I was listening to the audiobook, I feel like that should have been a sign, because I usually never listen to audiobooks because it makes it harder for me as well. So there were a lot of warning signs, I just did not take them. Anyways, that's the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys in another one. Bye!